This is going to be a quicker video because this is your chance to practice solving the problem. So let me just move this up here so you can see all the questions. So I want you to give each of these a try. Just keep in mind that just for sanity purposes, we went ahead and limited the possible outcomes or the possible angles that you can get. Here we don't have that same limit, but we can look between 0 and 2 pi as well. But you're going to find that this itself is going to limit, the equation itself is already going to be a little limited. So I want you to pause this video and try these on your own and try to give yourself at least 5 minutes per question, right? If you have a little more time, fine, but see how far you can get in 5 minutes, and then you can replay the video and see if your answers compare to mine. So I'm going to show all of you the answers at once. So spend 15 minutes at least. Take each question as far as you can and then play and see if you're getting the same answers. Now you're seeing the solutions to each of the three problems, so I'll do a quick walkthrough. So for the first one, I did a u substitution, so I let u equal sine of x, and then I solved the problem using basic linear algebra, or the algebra 1 skills that we learned in 9th grade, and then I substituted the sine of x back in place of u, and then I found the solution. So there are two places. We said sine of x is equal to -1/2, so we know that happens when x is equal to 7 pi 6, or 11 pi over 6. The second equation, I did a substitution, but notice I did something probably a little different from what some of you may have tried. So I like letting u be sine or cosine because it just works better in the end for me. So I said let u equal sine of theta. You could have made a different choice. Maybe you let it be cosecant of theta, but I just let it be sine of theta. And if it's sine of theta, I just had to rewrite this as 1 over u, right? Because this is the inverse of sine. And I solve this, so once when I get u to the numerator, right, and you can use cross multiplication or any technique that you want. You can multiply both sides by u and divide both sides by -2, but I end up getting u is equal to -1/2. And then I substitute back, I get sine of theta is equal to -1/2. I'm like, wait a minute, I just had something very similar. So I know some of my answers, 7 pi 6 and 11 pi 6. But I have a couple more because notice that right here, my range, or I'm sorry, my domain is a little larger. Right here we stopped at 2 pi, here we stopped at 4 pi. So I had to keep going. I had to go around that circle one more time. And I did that by adding 2 pi to each of my solutions. And since I'm dealing with 6, that's the same as adding 12 pi 6 to each. So I just added 12, right, to each numerator. I just in the numerator added 12 to 7 and 12 to 11 to get my other solutions. And then that took me around the circle twice. Finally, for the third one, this is actually very similar to the other example I showed you. I let u equal to sine x, and then I made that substitution. So I had a quadratic equation. Quadratic equation. So I use a quadratic formula to solve that equation. So I identified my a, b, and c. I made all of my substitutions, and I finally came up with u is equal to 1 plus the square root of 5, or 1 minus the square root of 5. I made that substitution back, right? I substituted sine of x back in place of u. And then what I noticed is like, hey, 1 plus the square root of 5, that's greater than 1, right? The square root of 5 is a little more than 2. I know the square root of 4 is 2. So I'm going to have some value greater than 1. And we said that can happen, right? The largest values that we can get for sine is 1, and the smallest that we get is -1. And I had that same situation here, because if I subtract a number that's a little greater than 2 from 1, I'm going to get something that's less than -1. So for this one, there are no solutions to this equation. So although when we solved with u, we had two solutions, when we put sine back, when we substitute that back in place of u, we find that there are no solutions. So hopefully you were able to make some progress on some of these. It's okay if you didn't get through them all the way. You can always try it again. So you can always, new sheet of paper, try the equations again and see if you're able to get them on your own. As always, if you have any additional questions, please reach out to me in class, or you can come see me for office hours.